There are moments in life when one realization changes everything. We spend years chasing success, happiness, or peace, often looking outward for answers, only to realize that the most important lessons are learned within. When you truly absorb these lessons, you will never think, feel, or act the same again. Life will continue to challenge you. Pain will come, failure will knock, doubt will whisper, but once you learn to shift your mindset, you gain control, not over the outside world, but over how you respond to it. Shi Heng Yi, a Shaolin master, reminds us that wisdom is not in knowing everything, but in practicing a few powerful principles every single day until they become who you are. Self-awareness is not just about knowing your name, your age, or where you live. It goes far deeper than that. It's about understanding your inner world, your thoughts, your emotions, your triggers, and your deepest motivations. Most people live life on autopilot. They wake up, scroll through their phones, go to work, react to situations, come home, and repeat the cycle. Days turn into weeks, weeks into months, and before they know it, years pass by without any conscious reflection on who they are becoming. They react emotionally without understanding why they're angry, stressed, or sad. They make decisions based on impulses, habits, and unconscious programming built over years. Shi Heng Yi emphasizes that the first step towards any meaningful transformation is to develop self-awareness. Because until you become aware of what's happening inside you, you will always be controlled by external circumstances. You will keep blaming people for your anger, situations for your anxiety, and life for your failures, never realizing that the root cause lies within. Self-awareness is like holding up a mirror to your mind and saying, "Let me truly see myself." It's the practice of noticing your thoughts as they arise instead of letting them dominate you. It's about catching yourself in the middle of a negative spiral and asking, "Why am I thinking this way? Where is this coming from?" This awareness helps you observe the stories you tell yourself daily. Maybe you keep thinking, "I'm not good enough," or "nothing ever works out for me." Self-awareness allows you to pause and challenge these thoughts instead of believing them blindly. It also reveals your emotional patterns. Why do you get angry so quickly? Why does a small comment from someone ruin your whole day? Why do you procrastinate on important tasks? These aren't random behaviors. They're deeply wired emotional reactions that you've repeated for years, often without knowing. Developing self-awareness requires slowing down. It may involve journaling your thoughts, practicing meditation, or simply taking 5 minutes of silence daily to scan your emotions. Shi Heng Yi often teaches the importance of being fully present with yourself, not judging your thoughts, but observing them like clouds passing in the sky. The more you observe yourself, the more you start noticing subtle things, how your body reacts to stress, how your breath changes when you're anxious, how quickly your mind jumps to conclusions. This level of awareness is like gaining a superpower. It creates space between stimulus and response. Instead of reacting impulsively, you gain the ability to choose your response. And in that space, between reaction and response, is where your personal power begins to grow. Discomfort is something most people try to avoid at all costs. We live in a world that celebrates comfort, convenience, and instant gratification. The moment we feel tired, we stop. The second we feel bored, we scroll through our phones. When things get hard, we quit. This avoidance of discomfort creates a fragile mindset, a life built on running away from anything that feels challenging, painful, or unfamiliar. But Shi Heng Yi, with years of Shaolin discipline behind him, teaches that discomfort is not your enemy. In fact, it's one of your most powerful teachers. It's the sharp edge that shapes you. Every time you feel physical pain during training, emotional resistance during struggle, or mental fatigue while pushing past your limits, that is discomfort trying to teach you something vital. Discomfort is where growth lives. Think about the first time you tried something difficult, whether it was lifting a heavy weight, waking up early for discipline, speaking in front of people, or confronting someone you needed to. You probably felt nervous, tense, uncomfortable. Your mind may have screamed at you to stop, to retreat, to choose safety. But when you pushed through, you didn't just complete a task, you rewired your brain. You expanded your capacity for difficulty. You grew. Shi Heng Yi often speaks about how the human body and mind naturally resist what feels hard because we are wired for survival, not success. The mind's default mode is to conserve energy, to seek the familiar path, and to avoid risk. But survival mode and growth mode cannot coexist. If you keep choosing the path of least resistance, you will stay the same person, physically weak, emotionally fragile, and mentally undisciplined. Discomfort teaches you resilience, the ability to bend without breaking. It conditions your nervous system to stay calm under pressure. It shows you that temporary pain doesn't equal permanent suffering. Every time you endure something hard and come out the other side, you send a new signal to your brain. I am capable of more than I thought. Physical discomfort, like during exercise or martial arts training, teaches you the limits of your body and then pushes those limits further. Mental discomfort, like learning a new skill, embracing change, or stepping into the unknown, strengthens your mind's flexibility and courage. Emotional discomfort, like facing rejection, failure, or heartbreak, teaches you emotional endurance and wisdom. Shi Heng Yi's philosophy reminds us that the moments when you feel like quitting are the exact moments you should lean in further. Because discomfort often appears right before a breakthrough, when your muscles shake, when your mind doubts, when your spirit feels like it's collapsing, that is not the signal to stop, it's the invitation to grow. The reality is, life will bring discomfort whether you choose it or not, but when you voluntarily seek discomfort in controlled, purposeful ways, through discipline, training, or hard conversations, you become better equipped to handle the discomfort that life throws at you unexpectedly. Instead of breaking down, you break through. One of the greatest sources of human frustration, stress, and emotional suffering is the constant attempt to control things that lie completely outside of our influence. We try to control other people's opinions, we try to predict the future, we stress over external situations that we have no say in, and we lose sleep worrying about outcomes that may never happen. Shi Heng Yi teaches that true inner peace begins the moment you start focusing only on the things within your control. This is not just a philosophical idea, it's a practical discipline. It requires you to consciously separate the things you can influence from the things you can't. What lies within your control, your thoughts, your actions, your breathing, your responses, your habits, your work ethic, your ability to show kindness, patience, and discipline. What lies outside your control? The weather, other people's behavior, the past, the economy, unexpected failures, world events. When you spend your energy worrying about things you cannot control, you drain your mental focus. You give your emotional power away to situations and people who may not even be aware of your struggle. Every minute spent in anger over someone else's actions or in anxiety over things you can't predict is a minute wasted from building your own life. Shi Heng Yi often draws from Shaolin philosophy, reminding us that a warrior does not waste energy swinging at shadows. Instead, they channel their focus like a beam of light, sharp, direct, and controlled. Imagine two people facing the same external challenge. Both lose their jobs unexpectedly. The first person spends days blaming the company, complaining about the economy, feeling hopeless and lost. The second person, while acknowledging the difficulty, quickly shifts focus, updating their skills, reaching out to contacts, applying for new opportunities, and keeping their daily routine intact. Which person do you think will bounce back faster? The one who focuses on what they can control. The same principle applies to smaller daily situations. Stuck in traffic, you can't control the cars ahead, but you can control your breathing, your attitude, and maybe use the time to listen to something inspiring or educational. Dealing with rude people, you can't change their mood, but you can control whether you react with anger or stay calm and composed. This mindset doesn't mean you become passive or indifferent to life's problems. It means you stop wasting emotional energy where it brings no return. Instead, you pour that energy into areas where it will actually make a difference. Focus on your discipline. Focus on your routines. Focus on building mental resilience. Focus on improving your skills. Focus on how you speak, how you move, how you think. Every time your mind starts wandering towards fear, blame, or frustration over things outside your control, gently but firmly bring it back to what you can control, your response in this moment. Shi Heng Yi teaches that true strength is not about overpowering the world, but about mastering yourself within it. It's about becoming the eye of the storm, calm, steady, and unshaken, no matter how chaotic things get around you. In life, it's not your goals or dreams that shape who you become. It's your habits, the small, often unnoticed actions that you repeat day after day. Shi Heng Yi often reminds us that motivation is temporary, but habits are permanent. Anyone can feel motivated for a day or a week, but it's the habits you commit to during the ordinary moments that determine your long-term success, strength, and peace. You don't rise to the level of your ambitions. You fall to the level of your systems, your routines, and your daily disciplines. If you look closely, your current life is a reflection of your habits. Your physical health is a result of your eating, sleeping, and exercise habits. Your mental clarity depends on your thinking, reading, and reflection habits. Your emotional stability is shaped by how often you practice mindfulness, gratitude, and emotional control. Even your financial situation is often a result of your saving, spending, and earning habits. The challenge is that habits are subtle. They don't produce immediate results. Skipping one workout won't make you unhealthy. Sleeping late one night won't ruin your life. Eating one unhealthy meal won't drastically change your body. But repeated over weeks, months, and years, these small actions compound into major results. Shi Heng Yi compares this to water dripping onto stone. One drop means nothing, but continuous dripping over time creates a groove. Habits are like that. They carve your character. Positive habits build you. They develop resilience, discipline, and focus. Waking up early, practicing mindfulness, training your body, reading instead of scrolling, reflecting on your day. These actions may seem small in the moment, but over time, they turn you into a person of strength and clarity. On the other hand, negative habits slowly break you. Procrastination becomes avoidance. Complaining becomes your default language. Skipping small responsibilities turns into laziness. Doubt becomes your internal voice. And the problem is, most people don't notice they're building destructive habits until the consequences show up. Poor health, anxiety, regret, and missed opportunities, they all trace back to daily patterns that went unchecked for too long. Shi Heng Yi teaches that you must become conscious of your habits. Observe what you do in the first hour after waking up. How do you spend your evenings? What are your default responses to stress? When do you give up and when do you push through? Ask yourself, are my habits moving me closer to the person I want to become or further away? Another powerful concept he teaches is intentional repetition. Don't just let your habits happen by accident. Design them with purpose. If you want strength, build the habit of physical training. If you want calmness, build the habit of meditation. If you want clarity, build the habit of journaling or self-reflection. Consistency is more important than intensity. You don't need to run 10 miles today to be healthy. You just need to show up every day, even for 10 minutes. You don't need to meditate for an hour. Start with 5 minutes of conscious breathing. Small daily wins stack up over time. Shi Heng Yi emphasizes that each day is a new opportunity to choose, to build habits that make you mentally sharper, emotionally stronger, and physically healthier. Your habits are either building you into a person of discipline and inner power, or slowly breaking you down, one unconscious choice at a time. One of the biggest obstacles to inner peace, personal growth, and emotional freedom is attachment, the mental and emotional grip we place on people, outcomes, material possessions, and even our own identity. Shi Heng Yi often emphasizes that attachment and ego are two sides of the same coin. They are mental cages we build for ourselves, locking us into cycles of expectation, disappointment, and suffering. Attachment creates unnecessary suffering because it binds your happiness to external things. We attach ourselves to how we think life should go. We attach ourselves to relationships, hoping people will never change or leave. We attach ourselves to job titles, social status, possessions, achievements, and even to the image we project to others. But life, by its very nature, is uncertain and constantly changing. People will change. Circumstances will shift. What feels stable today may collapse tomorrow. And when your inner peace depends on things that are temporary or unstable, suffering becomes inevitable. Shi Heng Yi teaches that real strength comes when you learn to let go, not in the sense of giving up, but in the sense of releasing your mental grip on things that are outside your control. Letting go does not mean you stop caring. It means you stop clinging. For example, you can love someone deeply but not be attached to controlling their actions. You can work hard for a goal but not tie your self-worth to its outcome. You can own possessions without letting them define your identity. The other side of this is ego, our inflated sense of self, the voice in our head that constantly compares, judges, competes, and craves validation. Ego whispers, I need to win. I need people to admire me. I must never fail. I'm better than others. Or worse, I'm worthless because I failed. I'm nobody without this title or success. Ego builds a false identity out of external things and fragile narratives. Shi Heng Yi encourages practicing humility and detachment from the ego. When you let go of ego, you stop needing to prove yourself to others. You stop needing to win every argument. You stop measuring your value based on likes, comments, followers, titles, money, or external achievements. Letting go of attachment and ego gives you emotional flexibility. When life doesn't go as planned, you don't fall apart, you adapt. When people disappoint you, you don't spiral, you breathe and release. When failure knocks at your door, you don't take it personally, you take it as a lesson. This mindset also allows you to be present. So often, attachment and ego pull you into the past, regretting what went wrong, or into the future, anxiously fearing what might happen. But when you let go, you return to the now. You become fully engaged in the present moment, responding to life with clarity rather than reacting with emotional baggage. Shi Heng Yi often uses the metaphor of holding water. If you squeeze it tightly, it slips through your fingers, but if you cup your hands gently, the water stays. Similarly, life flows better when you let go of rigid attachments and ego-driven control. Letting go doesn't mean losing your passion, drive, or ambition. It means moving through life with lightness, adaptability, and freedom. You give your best effort, but you release the emotional chains tied to the outcome. You build connections with others, but you don't cling to them for your identity. You strive for excellence, but you don't let failure break your spirit or success inflate your ego. This practice creates space within you, space for growth, wisdom, emotional stability, and true inner peace. In today's world, people are constantly encouraged to look outward. We measure our worth by external achievements, our job titles, our income, our physical appearance, the number of followers we have, or the approval we receive from others. From a young age, society conditions us to chase after external markers of success. We run towards goals, we pursue relationships, we collect possessions, and we build an identity around how others perceive us. But Shi Heng Yi teaches a different truth, one that many people only realize after years of chasing things outside themselves. The real journey, the most important journey, is the one inward. The journey inward means turning your attention away from distractions and diving deep into your own mind, your own heart, and your own being. It's about understanding who you really are beneath the noise, beneath social masks, beneath the roles you play in life. You can spend your whole life changing your environment, moving to different cities, switching jobs, entering new relationships, buying more things. But if you never change what's happening inside you, you will keep feeling the same emptiness, same anxiety, the same dissatisfaction. Shi Heng Yi emphasizes that inner peace, emotional balance, strength, and clarity are not found in the outside world. They are cultivated through conscious self-exploration, reflection, and mindfulness. This is why practices like meditation, breathing, exercises, and mindful movement are central in his teachings. These are tools to quiet the noise of the outer world, so you can finally listen to the voice within. The journey inward helps you become aware of your thought patterns. Are you operating from fear or from confidence? Are you living reactively or intentionally? Are your decisions driven by genuine values or by the fear of judgment? When you go inward, you start recognizing emotional wounds you've ignored for years. You see your insecurities without running from them. You observe your negative self-talk and learn how to separate from it. This journey is not always comfortable. It requires sitting with uncomfortable feelings, facing your own shadows, and confronting parts of yourself that you may have suppressed or denied. Shi Heng Yi explains that true strength is born when you stop fighting your inner world. Start understanding it. You learn that anger is often a mask for fear, that sadness is sometimes a call for healing, that overthinking is often a distraction from deeper emotional work that needs to happen. The inward journey also reconnects you with your true values. You may realize that things you thought were important, like status, recognition, or material success, were just surface-level goals imposed by external conditioning. Instead, you start focusing on qualities like patience, discipline, compassion, courage, and peace of mind. By going inward, you develop emotional stability. When the external world becomes chaotic, as it inevitably will, you don't crumble, you stay centered, you respond with wisdom instead of reacting with panic. This journey teaches you to find joy in the simple things, your breath, your movements, your awareness of the present moment. You learn to appreciate silence, to be comfortable in your own company, and to trust your inner guidance more than the opinions of others. Shi Heng Yi often reminds us that the strongest warriors are not those who conquer others, but those who conquer themselves. The inward journey doesn't mean escaping life responsibilities. It means preparing yourself mentally, emotionally, and spiritually so you can face life's challenges with clarity and calmness. The journey inward is a daily practice. It requires setting aside time for reflection, for stillness, and for listening to your own inner dialogue without judgment. It's about asking yourself hard questions. Who am I without my job, my possessions, my titles? What do I truly want out of life? Am I living in alignment with my values? Am I reacting to life or creating it? One of the most powerful teachings that Shi Heng Yi emphasizes is this simple but life-altering truth. You become what you practice. Every action you repeat, every thought you entertain, and every emotion you dwell in is shaping the person you are becoming, whether you realize it or not. Many people falsely believe that who they are is fixed. They say things like, "I'm just not a disciplined person," or "I've always been like this," or "That's just my personality." But this kind of thinking ignores one essential reality. Your personality, your mindset, and even your emotional responses are not set in stone. They are the result of patterns you've practiced over time. If you constantly practice complaining, you become a person who sees negativity in every situation. If you practice gratitude daily, you develop a mindset that finds beauty even in difficulty. If you practice procrastination, avoidance becomes your default response to challenges. If you practice discipline and consistency, you become a person others describe as dependable and strong. Shi Heng Yi reminds us that repetition is the mother of skill, not just in martial arts or sports, but in every area of life. If you want mental toughness, you must practice doing hard things, even when you don't feel like it. If you want emotional control, you must practice pausing before reacting, observing your emotions without letting them dictate your behavior. If you want inner peace, you must practice mindfulness and breathing techniques, not just when you're calm, but especially when you're under stress. The problem is that most people are unconsciously practicing behaviors that take them further away from who they want to be. They unconsciously practice self-doubt every time they say, "I can't." They practice fear every time they avoid stepping out of their comfort zone. They practice emotional reactivity every time they let anger, frustration, or jealousy take over without questioning it. Shi Heng Yi's teachings encourage bringing conscious awareness to what you are practicing every single day. Ask yourself, what thoughts am I rehearsing repeatedly in my mind? What emotional states am I living in most of the time? What actions am I taking or avoiding that are shaping my identity? You don't need grand gestures to change your life. Small daily actions, repeated over time, compound into powerful results. Practicing 5 minutes of mindfulness each day rewires your brain for focus and calm. Choosing to push through a workout even when you feel tired strengthens your discipline muscle. Replacing one negative thought with a positive one each day transforms your mental landscape over months and years. Consistency over time is more important than intensity in short bursts. Shi Heng Yi often says that it's not what you do once in a while that defines you. It's what you do every day, especially when nobody's watching. Are you practicing patience or irritation? Are you practicing discipline or giving in to comfort? Are you practicing gratitude or entitlement? This principle also applies to how you handle failure. If you practice resilience by standing up every time you fall, you build mental toughness that no external setback can destroy. If you practice learning from mistakes, you become adaptable and wise. If you practice blaming others for your problems, you weaken your sense of personal responsibility. Shi Heng Yi emphasizes that life will reflect back the qualities you practice most. If you want strength, practice strength. If you want peace, practice peace. If you want clarity, practice reflection and focus. Every moment is an opportunity to decide, what am I practicing right now? Because moment by moment, action by action, thought by thought, you are becoming the sum of your daily practice. So as you stand at this point in your life, where challenges, distractions, and doubts will continue to appear, you must remember this: you are not a fixed being. You are a work in progress, shaped daily by what you choose to focus on, how you choose to respond, and what you repeatedly practice. Life will never promise you comfort. It won't guarantee you easy roads or perfect outcomes. But it will always give you something even more powerful: the ability to grow, to choose differently, and to become stronger with every step forward. By embracing self-awareness, learning from discomfort, focusing only on what you can control, building empowering habits, letting go of ego, journeying inward, and consciously practicing the qualities you want to embody, you transform from the inside out. And once you internalize these lessons, something incredible happens. You no longer break under pressure. You no longer fear change. You stop chasing happiness and start creating it. You stop surviving life and start mastering it.